Today joining us is Mrs. Jerri, Dr. Erica, and Sharae Moore. 𝐂𝐸 Trucking was made in 2017 by Sharae Moore, professional truck driver from Chattanooga, Tennessee. The mission of women empowering women in non-traditional careers united in a movement for professional women nationwide. Can we go around for quick introductions to kick things off?
Hi, I'm Sharae Moore. I'm the founder of 𝐂𝐸 Trucking, and I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Jerri Banks. I am the owner of Life on the Road Recruiting and Transportation Services, and I'm from Houston, Texas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Erica Bass Flimmons. I am the owner of Preserving Capital Solutions. I am a board member for the 𝐂𝐸 Trucking Foundation. I'm originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee, but I currently reside in Los Angeles, California.
Pleasure to be acquainted, everybody. Could we give an intro on 𝐂𝐸 Trucking? Like, what is it exactly?
So 𝐂𝐸 Trucking is the largest platform for women in the trucking industry. But we have over 20,000 plus women drivers in our Facebook community.
That's awesome. I know we talked earlier, but part of your mission is really diversity around industries and professions that typically don't find women.
Absolutely. So our goal is just, to continue making sure that the industry is diverse and we're included in the trucking industry. As we know, this is a male-dominant industry, but as we know, women are joining and coming into the industry every day. We're changing the meaning of trucking.
I agree, and it aligns with, I think, of the family mission that we have in the household. And Shyla, do you want to share the family mission or purposes?
Find what you love to do and be the best in the world at it.
I love
it. I love it.
And then after that, it's how do you do that?
Focus and work 10 times harder than everybody else.
I like that. I share that with your mission because it's essentially find that purpose and really doesn't no holds bars. Just go after it and get it.
Right. One of my favorite quotes is to go to sleep with a dream and wake up with a purpose.
Love it. Speaking of purpose and passion, I think it's time to chat about some principles.
What are your top principles for success?
I just think as a leader, you have to be able to serve and serve with purpose. And so as a 𝐂𝐸 Trucking board member, I'm also a mentor in the group. And I've been a mentor over the last 2 to 3 years in 𝐂𝐸 Trucking Facebook group. And the women are phenomenal. They love the support, whether they are, asking information on how to set up their business, how to get into trucking without owning a truck. I've been able to help so many women throughout the 𝐂𝐸 Trucking mentorship. And 𝐂𝐸 Trucking has one of the largest mentorship programs in the Facebook community. I'm really, really proud to say that.
That's awesome.
And I would have to say, in terms of willingness to serve, that's actually how I met Sharae and I connected with this organization. She told me that she was telling me all the great we're doing in transportation, and I honestly don't have a background in that area. My background is more so in education. And then she told me that she actually has a partnership in Africa, and that just blew my mind because a lot of my work is giving back and serving different communities across the continent of Africa. And of course, that willingness to serve stepped right in. I'm like, okay, what do you need me to do? I'm excited. Let's move forward with this. Let's connect. And hopefully next year, 𝐂𝐸 Trucking will be present on the continent of Africa. That's my promise and commitment to this organization.
Awesome. Wow.
I agree with everything Ms. Jerri and Dr. Erica has said. That's what we do every day is serve people. That's our act of kindness that we give back. I agree with everything they said as well.
I feel like there's almost a career evolution. In the beginning, really try to get what you can for yourself and want to get yourself in a comfortable spot by all means. And then you hit this later part when you're really searching for your purpose beyond that, because after the nice house, the nice car, everything gets like muted down quite a bit. It's not as meaningful or impactful, and the older you get, you see that more. Then you realize it's so much more about how you can help the next person out and help them reach that level. And that's where you really find the value more than the amount of money you could possibly make, that sort of value you can create and instill in others. So I really like this value a lot. It's that willingness to go back and give that, serve others. Yeah, I wonder if there's a principle around growing up as a young woman and being responsible to be a leader.
My brother's older than me, but I'm the one, I keep him in line. My sister-in-law calls me to ask me questions about just how to get connected with him. But I think it's like a natural thing I think that young girls have, and we just naturally are leaders. I think a principle, yes, definitely just the natural leadership that you have in your household. You know, I'm not the only child, but some of us who have siblings, we have to step up to the plate. And I think especially in this community, a lot of people, even if you're coming from being a only child or multiple siblings, we are going to hold you accountable in She Trucking, and we want everyone to step up to the plate once they feel like they have spent their time or commitment, whether it's being out on the road or starting a new business. You need to help someone else and then play your part.
Setting goals and then being laser focused and completely driven to achieve them.
Because that example is like accountability. And I think that's when you, especially when you're part of a group, you get more committed to it. And then now you're holding each other accountable around those goals.
It takes a lot of discipline, but having accountability partners is the key. We have my two accountability partners here. They make sure that I'm on task and that we are setting goals and accomplishing them. And then that's what you need to have. My advice is making sure that you have people around you that's going to hold you accountable, that's going to make you think outside the box and keep elevating you. You can't move forward without having accountability partners in your life or in just taking accountability for your actions.
Anybody else on how do you be disciplined on your goals? Because everybody sets goals. That's a whole different class about creating goals if you're struggling to create goals. Let's say most of us can create the goals, but the sticking to it and really doing it. And I like Sharae's example of being around people that are like-minded, that are driven around their goals. So you follow with the same energy. Well, any other ways of how do you make sure that you stick to that discipline to complete your goals?
I think setting dates and timelines is one of the strategies that we like to use. Is we're going to get this completed and then we're going to follow up again to see what's been done. And so just making a timeline and giving yourself expectations. Like, I'm going to make my bed tomorrow at 8:00. Just the smallest things can be a setting goals all the way to I want to buy this car by this age. You can set short-term goals and long-term goals.
I like that. I had this idea about creating artificial deadlines. So you kind of like light the fire under yourself and kind of coach yourself to do that. Anybody have other thoughts on how do you get yourself? I like the setting the deadlines and schedules.
I think too, it's a mindset. It's definitely a mindset and a mind frame that you have to have consistently. When there's a task that I know that I need to get completed, like that's all that I'm thinking about. And Sharae told me, and this was in regards to her vision board. She had her vision board, and the vision board was placed on her door when she walked out of the door. Like every time she walked out, there's different notes throughout. It was a constant reminder that this is a goal I want to accomplish by this date. It was a reiteration, constantly being able to see that goal. So that mind frame, that having that vision, and then being able to go after it consistently.
Do you have a trigger for that? Is there anything that helps you get in that mindset?
I don't particularly have a trigger, but I know that if there's something, like there's things that I know that have to be done leading up to it, there's no alarm that wakes me up. It's just mental. It's very mental for me.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, for me, it's exercise. I usually have to get up and run or walk. That's what I was doing. That's why I was telling Miss Jerri, like, I'm out, I'm out. I was walking my miles, my 3 miles today. So I'm one of those. And that kind of keeps me going. I write my list usually on Sundays. It might be 50 items on this list. It's like a huge list. And at the top, like Monday, I'm just attacking that list every day. Sometimes I fall short. Sometimes I make it, but I want to make sure that I'm putting my all into it every day. And sometimes I look back, I'm like, oh man, I did all of that. I'm just, surprise myself. But usually it's just that, like Miss Jerri said, it's like that automatic, like, okay, let's go. So feeling like a little mini Sharae because we have this event coming and all these things that need to get done. And I'm just every morning just going at it.
Learning how to pivot in the industry and with the times.
I think with COVID, we all had to pivot in some form or fashion. And being able to even recognize that you need to pivot is key as well. My recruiting business, we really had to pivot on how we recruited drivers in the industry and things like that. And I'm happy to say that we pivoted at the right time and did the right things. And being able to recognize that, I think, is key.
I would definitely have to agree. Yes, I was in a similar position. Pretty much my work, like I said, is international. I'm going to anywhere from 4 to 7 countries a year. So when COVID hit, no more traveling. So I had to pivot and also kind of refresh myself with everything that's going on in terms of social media. And I still feel like I haven't not caught up with everything that's going on with social media. But that is something that you definitely have to, you have to be willing to evolve with technology. And then you also have to be willing to just make those changes and adjust when the world changes so you won't get left behind.
I like it. Gotta challenge yourself.
I mean, the trucking industry right now, it has made a full pivot with more technology is coming in. We got the future of autonomous trucks and trucking. So we are adjusting to this now. During the COVID-19, everything being shut down, the trucks were still on the road. And then you saw more of the autonomous trucks got to be tested at that time. And as a driver, my mindset was I need to get trained on the autonomous truck to make this pivot when the world changes over from manual driving to now autonomous driving. And as you see in the cars, right? Some people have made that change where you have the Teslas now, and then you have your regular standard vehicles. So it's just keeping up with the times, keeping up and forward thinking. Right? Just thinking ahead of time, staying forward thinking and adjusting to whatever's going on now within our generations.
So how do you do that?
Get you a cup of mocha, a great banana, and just listen. We start our day, right? They give us our energy. And like I said, just open-minded. Just staying open-minded and forward thinking. That's all. That's all it takes. Just keeping an open mind.
I think open and aware, because it's like all about picking up the information to see those changes. You should pay attention and make a decision if it's something you need to think about changing yourself or challenging yourself to try something different.
To let you know you can do whatever and be whatever you want to be. Someone said I couldn't drive this big old truck and I proved them wrong, right? And now I get to talk to you. And so thank you. I just love, this is why we do what we do. It's all about generation, letting a generation. And we talked about in the conversation that we just had is I knew that we needed images to be able to show that next generation, like, come on and get in a semi truck, right? You don't talk about that at school, right? The transportation industry. But what I learned in getting into this career, that it was an $800 billion industry, right? I mean, it's enough money for everybody. That's what we want people to know is all the opportunities are in transportation, whether it's driving a truck, owning a truck, recruiting, dispatching, education, right? I started with a t-shirt line. I made my own t-shirt. And then here we are, the biggest brand of mentorship and education in the truck industry.
What is it like to drive a truck?
It is an amazing feeling. It's an empowering feeling to be so high in the ground. She Trucking Expo. This is what we're going to be able to show people, that women that's out here on the road, we have about 5 drivers who will be at the She Trucking Expo here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But we will be showing our kids that they can do this early at 18 to 21, right?
How do you do what you want in this world?
You just have to try it. And guess what? Sometimes you can shoot for the stars and you'll touch the moon.
I would definitely say learn as much as you can, learn whatever you want. And it doesn't have to necessarily be like opening up a book. We have YouTube now, you have podcasts, you have Audible books, so you can learn whatever type of learner you are, you can learn that way now. If you're a visual learner or an audio learner, just try to learn as much as possible. It's never too late. I'm learning about trucks now. I'm learning about the trucking industry right now. I mean, I want to definitely encourage you, if you have any interest in trucking, pick up a book and start reading or listen or watch YouTube University, as my sister calls it.
Legacies are built in small moments. It's easy to be overwhelmed thinking about a big change. I believe it's about the small moments.
Yes, definitely. We can always get overwhelmed with so many things to do. Sometimes, if you have a big goal, you're just thinking about, "Oh, I wish I could just do this thing." And it might be this big goal where it's driving a semi truck, right? But then you start thinking about, "Oh my goodness, how am I going to drive at night? How am I going to learn how to park parallel? How am I going to back this truck up?" So those little things sometimes can stop you from reaching your big goal. But if you just celebrate those small moments, when you start out doing something, there's something small that you learn how to do. Just celebrate those accomplishments along the way, and it will carry you more. I have this thing that I do with one of my accountability partners. We do this task called 3 positives a day. We literally look at the whole day, and by the end of the day, before midnight, we text each other 3 positives each day. So even if you do have bad news, because sometimes you're going to have bad news hit you, several things might come that are negative in that day, you still have to think about those 3 positives, and that will keep you motivated and going forward with trying to reach your big goal the very next day. So celebrate those small moments.
Yeah, because it's tough because you do get discouraged when you take a fall. And I like your idea that the 3 positive things are within the same day. The thing is, sometimes the negative thing is that one thing that happens, but it like drowns out all the positive things that happen that day, and you're off in the low for a period of time, probably longer than you need to be. And that's where I'm curious. I like the way you frame it. It's almost, can I build a mechanism to help me reflect on the positives and at least stay on there? Knowing here's a little thing, but material aspect, it doesn't really matter. You got a lot of positive things going on and keep your mind frame in a positive direction. Keeping yourself up.
My favorite thing to do is just to smile through it. So even if you're not happy, just smile anyway, because someone else see you, and it changes other people's day as well. I think that's the biggest thing is, that's how you overcome adversities too.
What I learned, the benefits of smiling.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
Wait, I want to hear it. Miss Jerri, please. I'll let you.
No, statistics show that just like smiling, even if you're smiling to yourself or anybody else, the endorphins go up to the brain and it just makes you feel good. So that smile is key.
It's like a scientific proven that it'll put you in a better mood. And it also, when other people see you smile, it signals acceptance. Oftentimes people will smile back at that, and then all of a sudden they're getting their endorphins released and they're being put in a good mood. So it's so important to smile, because not only does it put you in a better mood, but it puts other people in a better mood too. And it's almost like carrying this positive energy and thinking, those energies comes positive and negative. It's either that, you're either thinking positive or negative things. And that could either come and put you down, or you can put yourself in that positive state and really like bring yourself up. And essentially you can control it, because how you interact with people, am I projecting negative energy or am I projecting some positive energy? And that's where you kind of approach it that way. That's where the smile is important.
I am extremely passionate about acquiring knowledge. Knowledge is power, and there is so much in the world that we can learn.
Yeah, I think I always have more about learning. But it's funny because a lot of people ask me all the time, like, how did you do your PhD? And what do you really do? But honestly, I did not want to go back to school once I finished high school. I did not want to go back. But my father said, you either go to the Army or you go to college. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll prefer college, right? So I go that route. And then once I finished the first degree, I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going to do it again. But the second one came because I was really interested in helping people with technology. So once I finished that one, I was done. But a professor pulled me to the side and said, okay, if I can get you a full scholarship, will you go back to school? And I'm like, oh gosh, I guess I have to. And the third time I went, I was able to study in another country. So that really pushed me to say, okay, I'm going to do it. But once I started, I honestly wanted to quit. It was very tough, very hard. I didn't know anyone in my circle or even in my family who had this degree. So I'm just out there kind of by my lonesome. But it wasn't until I joined a community of people and then they helped me through it. Right. And so it was definitely the toughest experience and learning experience. Definitely. I think I cried probably about 3 or 4 times, and I'm not a big cry person just because of the toughness of it. I tell everyone to, if they ask me, would you do it again or would you tell other people to do it? I say, look, you have to really be drawn towards something. My work, like I say, is in Africa. I love that. I love the countries over there and I love the people. So I kept my eye on the prize and I could not let them down. And that honestly helped me pull through. But honestly, if it wasn't for them, I don't know, I probably would have quit and just gave up. But I had a big goal and I did not want to let those people down. So I said, okay, let me push through. And look where I am today on the board of She Trucking Foundation.
Motivated and having that learning pattern along with it.
Yes, definitely. Neither one of my parents went to college. I wasn't one of those kids that went to private school or my father could call somebody at this school or do this thing. No, I had to sit and actually work towards all those goals. My brother is like the smart kid, right? I'm the one who had to start studying. I think I realized I had to start studying in the 7th grade. I received F's on all of my tests. And I thought I could play around. And my teacher said, you know, you're going to have to actually study, right? And they said, well, sorry, you're not them. You have to study. So at that point, that's when I knew I have to kind of take this serious. And from there, I just kept going along the path. But I had good mentors along the way. But definitely, I had to work for those letters, those stripes.
Resistance equals growth. Every single obstacle I conquer along the way makes me stronger and more likely to succeed. If I'm not challenged, I'm not challenging. I don't get discouraged when faced with yet another hurdle. Instead, I think of it as proof that I'm making progress.
Yes, that's definitely one of mine. Like I said, I did not have an easy road. But the funny thing is, when I was younger, I thought things were supposed to be easy. I thought that the path was supposed to be smooth because I did not have a lot of resistance other than me studying, growing up. So I thought things were supposed to be smooth and easy. Little did I know, no, it's not supposed to be like that. Or sometimes things happen. I had a lot of family incidents that happened. My mother was diagnosed, she had a stroke when I was in college. And then I think the second time I went to school, my father was diagnosed with cancer. So I had all these different family things going on at the same time. You're supposed to be staying along this course, something to get over and deal with at the same time. But I learned, like, the 3rd degree, it just whipped me in the butt because I was doing right things, but I would still get these shortcomings, right? But I just kept getting right back up, trying again, right back up, trying again. That made me very resistant.
I like your example because it builds to the whole theme of you go through these experiences or challenges, but ultimately it makes you a stronger person. If you're not going through those challenges, you're not necessarily getting stronger. And when you do have that challenge, you're not going to be able to handle it as well as Dr. Erica, because she's gone through it, been through that, and's got the toughest skin to handle it. She can approach the next challenge with a big old smile because she's already built up that strength to it.
Not by choice, but like Sharae said, when you have these big goals, you just trying to reach this goal. I just didn't realize that along the way, I would have some resistance. It was like either I'm going to stop trying to reach the goal or keep going. I decided to keep going. So then I just kept falling until I made it.
That's part of it though, Dr. Erica. You got to put a goal out there that is tough. Because if it is not tough, then you're not pushing yourself and you're not making yourself stronger as well as you could be. I almost think it's the other way. You got to make sure that goal is tough enough and you take a couple bruises to make it worthwhile so you're super proud.
This is true. And that's why sometimes a lot of people ask me if I could go the easy route. For example, right now, I'm a part-time professor, right? But I could be a full-time professor. That's an easy route to me. But I'd rather be on this board for this organization. I'm learning a whole new industry that I'm excited. I have a business development company, completely new. I think that, like you say, you have to put those goals out there and then just push through. And when those hurdles come along the way, now I can handle them differently. They're kind of like water just rolling off, you know? So I definitely appreciate the stripes in the beginning of my journey instead of just like, okay, I just give up and go back to the normal thing, I guess the regular way.
I like that. I want to hear from Ms. Jerri Sharae about what do you do to get tough?
Well, I'm gonna bring my book into this because I wrote a book called Building a Legacy. And it's about overcoming adversities and how you can, it's okay to get hit sometime with a challenge, but keep moving. Because I've been on the road and I've been across the United States. What I learned is sometimes the road may be closed, but there's a detour. So I never got stuck at that road closure. I just looked for the detour to go around it to accomplish the goal of getting to my destination. And that resonates with life. So those are my principles, right? So if you're in a roadblock, don't worry. Look for the detour and go around it to get to accomplish your goal.
Mine is just growth and evolution. I'm not the same person I was yesterday, let alone, 5 years ago. It's just a continuous evolution for me. I worked in corporate for over 20 years. I took so much from there and that I've learned and was able to transition that into my own business, helping the She Trucking Foundation. For me, it's about continuously evolving, continuously learning, continuously growing into what I have to offer the world.
What's the best mistake you've made?
Trucking was the best mistake that I could have made. I wanted to be a nurse. I did not think I would be driving a truck. I thought it was a mistake. Maybe this is not for me. Sometimes you doubt if you're in that right direction. But this was the best decision that I could have made. If I didn't make the decision, I wouldn't have been able to bring so many people with me, right? I didn't know anything about this industry before I came in it. I knew that I couldn't increase my income because at the time I was a CNA and I was making like $10,000 a year, right? Who can live on that in 2021 at $10,000 a year? Like, imagine if I have not taken that step. So this was the best decision that I could have made. So sometimes, sometimes I say, did I make a mistake? When you're first starting, because you hear the word fail. And when you're trying to take tests, you hear the word fail. You start hearing that word fail and you're thinking, is this a mistake? But no, this was the best decision. And so if anyone is looking to get into the transportation industry, I would tell them to go for it and see what, where it takes you.
Great message. Can land your career. Anybody else want to share their answer?
I'm thinking. So probably the best mistake, and I didn't know that about you, but the best mistake that I ever made, I went to nursing school right out of high school. My mom was a nurse, my aunts were nurses, everybody in my family were nurses. So that was the pathway that we were supposed to take. And then in nursing school, I think I was in clinicals, had, just about maybe 6 to 8 months left. Something snapped and said, you need to be in transportation. It was on the aviation side of things. That's where my background started, in private aviation. And then from there, it just blossomed into this phenomenal transportation career. The best mistake that I ever made was starting and going into nursing school, following someone else's footsteps.
Yeah. And you learned and moved right on.
I would say the best mistake, I've made quite a few, but think about the one that led me here, actually. The best mistake I made during the pandemic, and even a little bit before the pandemic, I was really eager about wanting to do something in my hometown. I have not lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee since high school. And I think I've lived in maybe 5 or 6 states since then, right? And I wanted to do something in my hometown. I called my father and I said, I really want to do something. And he said, well, go to the Chamber of Commerce or the incubator and see what you can do. So I'm still kind of thinking and trying to figure it out. And I kind of backed away once the pandemic hit. But then I started helping people from my hometown with their business and grants. That's how we met, through someone else. It was so funny because the mutual person who we met, her best friend is a neighbor to my parents back in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm just grateful because I was trying to figure out how to do work with the city and kind of get back in. And I visited schools and they were asking, do you want to come back and teach, be a special guest? And nothing was really kind of pulling me. And I started thinking, okay, I'm going to get back to this, and look, this is it. So I think the mistake that I made was wanting to kind of connect with my hometown and just not giving up with that. And it just happened. I'm so happy that we connected, and then I met the wonderful Miss Jerri. I'm just grateful for that mistake.
That's a great question. I love that.
Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. Before
Thank
we
you.
go, can I just please let people know what's going on? Because we're getting ready to make history. And I want to make sure that this is documented on every platform that I speak on. And that is Trucker Appreciation. It's National Trucker Appreciation Week next week. I want you to Google it. Trust me, it is nationally recognized. That Truck Driver Appreciation Week is the 12th through the 18th. This is an important week for us because everyone needs to thank drivers, because during the pandemic, the drivers was delivering the loads, bringing in medication. They was taking care of bringing in our food. They was responsible for everything. And so next week, we're going to be saying thank a trucker during Trucker Appreciation Week. We have our first event for She Trucking, which is the She Trucking Expo. It's going to be located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. You can just go to our website, shetrucking.com or shetruckingexpo.com, or look it up on Eventbrite.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That sounds like a really exciting event. How many people are you expecting?
We're in the thousands, so it'll be thousands of people. We have semi trucks coming on the inside of our event. So this is going to be a trade show. We bring in awareness to mental health in the trucking industry as well. We want to save people, and we also want to encourage people to join the industry as the driver shortage is approaching us. So right now in Louisiana, people need fuel. Guess who have to bring that in? The truckers. So when our shelves are empty, guess who bring that in? The truckers. So we want to encourage people and the drivers encourage more drivers to enter into this industry, more people to become drivers to enter into this industry as well.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing your life lessons with us today.
How old are you?
10.
Let me ask.
Wow.
So what's your favorite thing in the whole world? Oh, your favorite person. Who's your favorite person in the world?
It's between my mom and my dad. I don't
I
know.
love it.
Oh, yes. And we got a smile out of that. So I know it's passion. You see the
Yes.
passion?
Yes.
What's
You
the
are doing
best
so
answer?
awesome.
Great job.
What are you going to be when you grow up?
I don't know what to say. I love many things. Probably being the next host of BossMove.
People want to watch this to see you, not me. I'm exploiting you probably. We started doing these together last year as a pilot because I was talking about lessons and stuff. I was like, Dad doesn't know this stuff. And I was like, why don't we make a point to interview other people and learn from them? So we did two of them last summer, and just to get to see how people liked it. It was a good response. But I think there's an underpinning theme that you can learn something from anybody, like literally in this planet. Like if you put all your biases and we talk about being open-minded and judgment away, you can definitely learn something from anybody in this planet, even the people in the trucking industry. So I think there's that. And that's why I want to kind of open it up with these conversations of let's learn from each other. Why don't we keep that and help foster our experiences and lessons learned to this next generation so they can get there faster and hopefully not have to endure as much.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes. What a great purpose. I love it. That's awesome.
Thank you so much for having us on and allowing us to share.
Yeah.
You know,
One thing that I want to mention, Kison, is the new infrastructure bill that was recently passed. There is a provision for a women's advisory board, getting more women in trucking, apprenticeships. It's really big on the infrastructure bill that was recently passed. So this topic and the trucking is a huge topic.
That's perfect. Thank you all so much for giving us so much content to work with. I hope we come up with something that you're really happy about.
thank you
Great.
so much. We
Yes,
appreciate
thank
you.
you.
And it's
Thank
so
you.
nice to meet you. You are the reason why we do what we do, little
Yes.
princess.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
you.